Hey everybody, it's Brad at Select Roses. I want to tell you a little bit about winterizing a rose that's been in a container. This is a small growing rose in quite a small container. It is a patio rose, so that was fine to be in that one season. You can tell it's done its blooming. The plant is starting to go dormant, and we know that because the leaves are turning yellow and they're all falling off. If we left a small pot like this out, you would likely lose that plant in the winter. So there's a few things you can do. We have a cool greenhouse we bring them into, and we keep the greenhouse around the freezing mark. Sometimes we'll let a little bit of frost in, but we don't want a plant in a small pot like this to freeze solid. So there's a few things you can do. If you're living on a balcony, it would be okay to tidy the rose up a little bit at this time of the year. So you just go along and trim just the tips back, as you want to have it a little bit tidy. Your balcony might not have enough room on it. You don't want to make too much of a mess, but do leave some of the older foliage on again so that it starts to go dormant. Check it for moisture, make sure that it's damp, and then take that plant and stick it in the corner of your balcony and put some other larger pots or anything around it to protect the small pot. If you have a greenhouse, you'll use that. And if you don't have a protected spot, then that would be the time to slip this plant out of the pot, plant it in a much bigger pot that it will continue to grow next year. Or the best thing to do is, if you have a spot against your house, a little bit sheltered, you just dig a hole and you take this whole plant, plunk it in the ground for the winter. You can do that in the pot, out of the pot, whatever method that you want. But don't leave a small plant like this to winter over outside. Now, if you do have one of the half oak barrels or something like that, even larger, you do the same little bit of cleanup at this time of the year. If they're on rollers and you're able to move them to a protected site, do that. If you're not able to move them to a protected site, the average winter they'll be just fine. And usually we've chosen, if it's going to be a container rose or hardier variety, and it'll winter over okay like that. So leave some of the foliage on, do a little bit of cleaning, no other fertilizing at this time of the year, and that's all you need to do to winterize the rose. Oh, the one thing I do tell people, if you have other plants that you know are more winter hardy, maybe you have some evergreens, some boxwood or anything like that in containers, put the roses to the inside of the area, and then the other plants, they'll protect the frost and the freezing more towards the outside. If it's under shelter of the eaves and they're not going to get any rain on them, once in a while go out and just check the rose. It can run on the little bit of the dryish side, but you don't want it to become bone dry. A plant is happy to rest for the winter. It wants to have the little winter sleep, and then it wakes up in the spring again for you. Thanks for listening.